What's going on, people? It's Friday night. You know what that means. It's time for the MMA Mainstream Podcast. I'm James with Kaelyn, and we are joined with a special guest, Gabriel Smith. Gabriel, how are you doing today?
Good. How you guys doing?
Can't really complain, man. Can't really complain. It's Friday. It's a good day. It's a good day.
Yep.
Unless you work weekends, then it sucks. But you're going to be competing on April 23rd at 559 Fights.
Yep.
You're 3-1. Tell us how your camp has been going, because your fight's within a few weeks. How's everything been going in preparation for your fight?
I mean, there wasn't really a camp for this one. It was a short notice fight. They needed someone to fill in to fight Burgos. So I stepped up, took it on 2 weeks. So, I've had about a week of, just being able to study him. I didn't really stop training since my last fight. So, my cardio is all there and everything. And, I've still been training this whole time. But, just I had about a week to, to really study Burgos and everything.
Now, you've had only so much time. Were you already ready to go or semi-ready? And he disappeared on us. There he is. I don't hear you, man. And now he's frozen.
No.
This is the greatness of modern technology, folks. It happens. Unfortunately.
You back?
There we go.
Yeah, there we go.
Sorry about that.
It's all good. It's all good. Were you already ready for a fight, even though since you took this fight short notice, or
so
were
I
you
was
just
getting ready to
let's
fight.
do it?
Yeah, so I was getting ready to fight on the May card for 559 actually, and for me, the opponent I was gonna fight was he was pretty good. He had good cardio, put the pace on everyone. So getting ready for that actually helped me a lot with this. Just making sure my cardio was there and everything. So that was the main thing I wanted to make sure. I had the cardio to go, all rounds if need be, and luckily so far, since I didn't really stop training, it's been good.
Now, what is one of your what was the base that you started with when you got into mixed martial arts?
I started with kickboxing, and then after about a year kickboxing, I got into jiu-jitsu.
Ah,
I
and
feel like
how's
it's
that
always
journey?
opposite. I feel like we always get a lot of wrestlers that start out, wrestling in school and stuff, and then discover jiu-jitsu and then take on striking last minute.
Yeah. No, that's something I definitely wish I did in high school was wrestle.
Yeah, I think everyone does now.
Exactly right. Yeah, that's something I've worked really hard on during all this training is my wrestling, just because the lack of wrestling that I had in high school. So, but the thing about high school wrestling, right, is that they have seasons, and so a few years in, if you have a good wrestling coach, they can teach you everything that you need to know, and hopefully catch up in time.
So did you have a lot of have you done any Muay Thai or kickboxing fights?
No, just MMA fights.
Okay.
So yeah, I just trained kickboxing at first, and then I got into MMA.
That's good. What weight is this for you? 120. Have you always been 125, or do you try really hard to cut down to 125?
Yep, yeah. So it's a little bit of a cut to get down to 125. It's not fun, but I could definitely make it.
Have you ever thought about doing 135?
I've done a catch weight at 130, that wasn't bad at all. And 135 would be pretty nice, just because I love my sweets and everything.
Yeah, you wouldn't have to really try too hard there.
Yeah, exactly.
Now you've got 3-1 in your career. What have your fight finishes been like?
First fight, I had a TKO in a minute. My second fight, submission, second round, which that was a really tough guy out of a really good camp. So that was one of my best finishes. Was against my second guy. My third fight was it was actually a 44-second guillotine, like a standing guillotine, and that was for a title. So getting in there,
nice.
and doing it
less
than a minute was pretty good. And then this last fight, unfortunately, I lost in the second round, but it was still a good, learning experience.
So that's
Hey,
great.
yeah.
You're a kickboxer, and most of your wins are submissions, and that's
Exactly.
I don't ever hear of that because normally, people don't try to take it down if they don't, if their background isn't wrestling or jiu-jitsu. But that's cool. That's good experience.
Yeah, that's props, dude. Especially you're mostly a striking base, but yet you're gonna go and sub dudes.
Yeah,
Props, man. That's awesome.
Worked real hard on it, so
Good.
especially when it hits the ground, to make sure I'm prepared for it.
That's great.
Now, how long did you start training before you took your first fight?
Ooh, I'm gonna say 2 years.
Oh, that's good. At least you took the time out to do that compared to
Exactly, yeah.
some people who are like, I've been doing this for 6 weeks and I'm gonna get in the cage. It's like okay.
Yeah, and then some of them win too. You're like, what? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Huh?
Yeah. Boosting
But
you
no
up for
props,
that.
dude.
What?
Yeah, you started with
Make sure I was prepared.
Oh, go ahead.
You started with kickboxing and then you got into jiu-jitsu. How long was it until you got into jiu-jitsu?
It was about a year. So I had a pretty bad injury with my knee, and so that's why I wasn't doing jiu-jitsu. I was just doing kickboxing. But so I have a twin brother, and he's been doing jiu-jitsu for a while. So luckily, I was able to train with him also, and watch him train, and I learned a lot from that as well. And then coming into class, still watching, classes go on with jiu-jitsu, and just sitting. Even though I couldn't participate, I'd still watch and study it
and observe.
Mm-hmm.
So what other have you fought for other organizations besides 559, or has it all been 559?
No, yes. So this is my second time fighting for 559, which I love the show. The show is awesome. It's a big show, especially
they do a good job.
It's one of the best shows I fought for. I fought for West Coast Elite in the Bay Area, which was a nice one also. I fought for 5150, which is where I got the title from. So that was a really well produced show too. So 559 and 5150 were really nice shows.
Oh, good.
Very nice. I've heard about 5150. I don't hear about it much now. And I don't know if they're still doing MMA, but I knew they were doing it for a minute. Unfortunately, I never got out to a show, but we can both say that 559 Fights in the Central Valley puts out a phenomenal show.
Oh, yeah, it's tremendous.
Yeah, they like to showcase their fighters really well, before they come out and stuff. It's it's pretty good. It's pretty close to like a pro experience. You get your walkout, you get all the cameras and all that. Maybe an interview after. I think that's pretty cool. And I think it's good experience for like if you are going to go pro. How to conduct yourself and maybe get yourself situated of how you want to be when you do turn pro. What kind of a fan base you want, what kind of a personality that you have there. So that's pretty cool that would kind of get you ready for that to do more shows like 559 or ones that are similar that put in the production for it. I think is pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I definitely agree. Yeah, just the whole, just the lead up to it and everything, just the way they, they help the athletes out, setting up interviews and everything, reaching out to us. It's great.
Yeah, they do. I mean, we got you set up within an hour.
Yeah.
So I definitely appreciate the time, man. Because me and Edson, who's the PR person for 559, have been trying to set up certain fighters and they keep bailing out. And so I definitely appreciate you coming on last minute to do this.
Of course.
And they seem like they do groom you for the whole nine, like for dealing with interviews and dealing with the media such as us. And so it's definitely all around training, not just experience in the cage.
Yep. Yeah, it's great. I can't be more thankful, fighting for such a great organization, especially, as an amateur, just the way they treat us, it's awesome.
Are you, what are your plans? Are you planning to go pro? Is this maybe a career choice for you?
Yeah, I definitely want to go pro. I want to win this, fight next Saturday. I want to get a rematch with the guy who just beat me, right, with Laz. So, I'd fight him, in May, if things go well next Saturday. So, I get that rematch in May. And then I heard that they're handing out pro contracts on whoever looks best. So
Oh, wow,
hopefully I
great.
come
Yeah,
out,
for
look great, and then, get
great.
that
I
pro
want to say
contract.
for Fury, right?
Yep, Fury.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow,
because
that
that's
would
coming up too.
that's a
Yep,
good
yeah. So that'd be
experience.
in July. So that'd be back to back to back.
Wow. That's
Yeah,
good though.
they've got a lot of big things coming up. So I look forward to checking out your fight. I'm pretty stoked about this.
Yeah, it should be fun.
Do you know anything about your opponent, or do you refuse to do that in your preps for the fight?
He looks like like a pretty good wrestler. He looks like he's definitely strong. He's skilled everywhere. Looks like like good jiu-jitsu and everything. He has 2 fights, I believe. So not too much out on him, but I know he wrestled a bit and everything too, and just looks like he's probably gonna want to try to wrestle me down and use his strength, and I know he's gonna try to finish me. I know he's gonna try to make a statement for sure. So I have to be ready for that.
Now, what's your training schedule like? Is it pretty hectic? Are you able to have a part-time or full-time job as well with training?
Yeah, so thankfully, my wife, is great, and she helps me out a lot. But I do have a couple jobs as well, but they're very flexible. So I can train in the
Good.
morning. I train in the morning for about 3
That's
hours.
good.
Ooh.
I work at the gym too, so that's one of my
Oh.
Even
jobs. So
better. That
Yeah,
helps
exactly.
a lot.
I'm here right
Oh.
now. So.
Very nice. Very
Wow.
nice.
Man, you have
Yeah,
all
so-
of that whenever you want.
Exactly.
That's
Yeah.
so good.
So
Okay.
I get my training in at night as well too. So if I want the guys to roll, I can always roll with the guys too. Part of my job. So.
Wow. Oh, wow. That's so lucky. It's so lucky.
Now, one of the questions I ask a lot of the fighters we interview is I've been a lifelong fan of MMA since '93, since it really came out. But is there a movie or anything that inspired you to get into mixed martial arts or martial arts for that matter?
Well, like I said earlier, I have a twin brother, so we have photos of us as like 2 or 3 years old with boxing gloves on, fighting each other. So growing up, we that's all we would do. We would just do it for fun, and we grew up in a trailer park, nothing else to do. So we get the other kids and we just host fights every single weekend. So that bully beatdown was a huge thing. Getting into MMA, I love the show, and then
Oh,
Dragon
man,
Ball Z.
that's cool.
So yeah, Dragon Ball. I'll watch episodes of Dragon Ball Z before my fights just to pump me up.
That's awesome.
That's cool.
Oh,
It's got to
man.
come from somewhere, right?
Yep.
Right. And also, like, I'll be real, I say this a lot. It makes me feel old because I was like, Bully Beatdown. God, that was on when I was in like my 20s. I remember watching that. And then you're just like, when I was young, I'm like, oh God. Oh God, not again. Not again.
How old are you?
I'm 25.
Oh, wow. Good. You have a lot of time.
Yeah, brand
You have a lot
brand
of
new,
time.
young in the game.
Yeah. That's a perfect
Now, has
age. Perfect age.
your brother got you into kickboxing and stuff? Is he into mixed martial arts too? Is he competing as well?
Yeah. So he got me into jiu-jitsu really. So he used to train at a different gym that we train at now, and then I really got him to come over to our gym. So he was doing jiu-jitsu before I was doing kickboxing. I got him to come over and start doing kickboxing, and then we both started doing MMA. So he actually fought before I first fought, and yeah. So he's been dealing with some injuries. Hopefully he gets to fight in May. We're still looking for an opponent for him, but hopefully he gets to fight in May.
All right. I think
Yeah,
that's awesome when you basically have a built-in training
Built some
partner.
harder.
Yep,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, it's
Awesome.
awesome.
Now, do you guys do you spar a lot, or how does that go for you guys? Are you, because I know some people spar hard and crazy, some people don't spar at all, and some people just kind of take it easy. What's it like for you?
I'll do like technical sparring, so we'll go easy to the head. We'll go like hard to the body and everything too, just because we want to save our brain cells, right?
Yeah.
There's no point of getting head damage and
Right.
concussions in training and everything. Especially amateurs, we're not getting paid at all, so
Yeah.
definitely want to make sure we're keeping our brain cells. So
Yeah.
I'll spar,
I understand that.
I'll spar hard, like a good pace, but never like anything hard to the head.
Oh, that's good. Because some people we talk to, they just like, we spar 3 times a week, pretty hard, 2 times. I'm like, whoa. That's not the best thing, but whatever
Oh
works.
my dude, I hope you don't end up like some of these boxers that we've seen as of late from doing that so hard.
Yeah, it's rough. Yeah, that's one thing. I have a son. I don't need to be brain dead by the time I'm 35. So
very true, very true. So tell us a little bit more about where you train out of.
Yeah, so I train out of Institute of Combat up here in Humboldt County. It's a small little place up here, but we've got a good group of guys up here. A couple guys in Bellator. Like I said, one of my teammates is fighting.
Yeah.
Probably fine right now, honestly. But
it's just started, I think.
Yeah, and then I have my teammate Cass Bell, who's he's ranked number 10 in the bantamweight division in Bellator. So and like I said, I have my brother who's super good at jiu-jitsu. He's a purple belt in jiu-jitsu, just solid,
Nice.
All around and everything. And I have a bunch of guys that I train with. So it's good training. We're small up here, so we get all that one-on-one attention rather than like a huge gym, right? Where it's just like people just coming in and out and stuff. You don't really get to focus in on them. So I'm glad I have the attention that I need.
Yeah, it sounds like you have really good partners and like mentors, because those guys are right in the mix of it, of Bellator, in the rankings too. They can give you all that advice and what to do when you make it and whatever organization you end up in. That's good that you have those guys above you that are going to be there to help you make decisions, or just give you advice and be able to work with them. If they're already ranked and you get to work with them, then you're working with the best of the best. So you can't really ask for anything more. That sounds perfect.
Exactly. Yeah, Cass has been such a help to me. Same with my my coach Juan Thompson. They've been there for me this whole time, and just anytime I have a question, I can always ask them. Cass is always working with me and everything too. It's great to have those guys.
Have you been at that gym the whole time you've been training for MMA? Oh, okay.
Yep.
Okay.
So when I first started, I started training with Cass, like right away. So that's I like to think I progressed as much as I did because of him.
Yeah.
Now, since
James, I was like, what was
sorry,
that? Were you thinking?
I brain
I was
fart.
looking
Sorry.
at you to ask your question, and then you're just like
staring off into space. Now, okay, since you're still brand new, you're only 4 fights in, going to be 5. Do you have a management team? Because that's something I just started thinking about. Like, we talked to a lot of amateurs as of late, and I don't know if any of them have like managers already. Or did you get the fight? Did your coach get you the fight? Did your manager get you the fight if you have one? How has that process gone for you if you have one?
Yes, so I don't have a manager. I usually let like Cass, and it has been a huge help, getting fights and everything. Jeremy actually sent me a message for my last fight. He offered me the title fight in my last fight. And so we've just been in contact, ever since then. And, he's been checking in on me and everything. And then he came, with the May fight first. And then he asked me if I could step in for this fight next week. And I told him, yeah, I could definitely do that. So Cass usually, helps, stay in contact. Same with my coach. My coach, usually finds fights for us as well. But no, to answer your question, I don't have a management team.
I guess you don't really need. Do you really need one? Do these guys really need a manager, or is that something that they only need when they're like, top UFC or something like that?
No, when they're pros,
like, contracts and everything, right? Like
that's exactly
contracts, I guess you would. Yeah, that's true. Unless a bunch of fighters, so they know how that goes too. So maybe. You don't even have to need one of those. I don't know. I know you have to give up percentage of your money when you start winning money. You got to pay your team and all that. And I'm sure that's hard, because starting out, I know they probably don't get paid very much. So, a big chunk of that would go to them. That'd be really cool if you didn't need it.
Yeah, I guess, just, get all the right connections at first. And then.
Very true. And make sure you stick with the right people. That's also a big thing. All right, Gabriel, we know we got to let you go shortly. Is there anybody you want to shout out or give thanks to for, supporting you on your journey?
Yeah, first my sponsorships. I have Happy Joe, Exit Realty, Baldo & Court, Liquor Store. I want to, thank my, my wife, my brother, my whole team, right? My coach, Juan, Cass, all the guys, helping me out and everything. And yeah, I think that's it.
All right, Gabriel, thanks for joining us. And you can see him compete in 559 fights on April 23rd in Visalia. If you don't have your tickets, Get him now. It's a great show. I mean, we always talk about it, so
Mhm.
go check him out. All right. Thanks, Gabriel. We appreciate it, and we'll talk to you later, man.
Thank
Awesome.
you.
Take it easy, guys.
All right. Now, that was an awesome interview. Thank you again to Gabriel for coming on. But we have some stuff to talk about outside of that. And it was last week's fight. I took Piotr Yan.
It's not even, you didn't even say fights. You just said fight.
Yeah, because that was the only fight I cared about. I watched the other ones.
No, which one we're talking
and every other fight went to decision. This one went to decision. But okay. All right. Let's get into that's not the fight I wanted to bring up. That's this week's. Okay. So Mackenzie Dern, that was an okay fight.
Yeah, I almost thought Tisha Torres had that, but I think it was close from watching it. Split decision.
I did have
Dern.
Dern. I thought she edged her out.
I guess. Yeah. So if it went the other way, I wouldn't be like, oh, crazy. It made sense.
I completely agree.
Yeah.
And then Gilbert Burns, man, he fought his heart out, but just
I know.
Oh man, I felt bad for the guy. Like it's a fight of the night.
Fights. Yeah.
Yeah, but Gilbert Burns, like he did fight his heart out, but Kazamat, man,
but this guy is good. He's got something.
His height really helped. I think if Burns would have just went into the pocket and fought, I think he would have looked a lot better because Kazamat couldn't get off his shots, but he didn't, and he kept that distance.
Yeah,
and that's I think what gave him Kazamat the win.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm
excited for Chimaev to see where he goes next because I think it's something big.
And it was a huge jump for him to compete against Burns, who was number 2.
Number 2. Where do you go after number 2? Normally,
you're that's a rocket ship right to like a number 1 or championship. The end.
I think it's too soon for him.
You think so?
Yeah.
I mean, they have him fight number 3. He already beat number 2.
The number 2 is Gilbert Burns. So I think it just depends who it is.
So they need somebody better.
Well, so there's levels to the champ and the rest of the rankings. Like sometimes there's a big difference. Not that these guys are a huge difference, but I feel like some people are going to get beat by these other guys. Now, if the 2 other guys fight, who knows type of thing. It's like just the matchup itself. So if you think about it, what's the next step is the champ, which is Usman, right? This is 170.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think he could beat Usman? I don't.
No, I don't. Usman is like the uber athlete, and I think he would know how to fight him.
Yeah.
And I think with the team that he has, he would know how to not pick him apart necessarily. I just know I think he would do what Burns should have done and go into the pocket.
Yeah.
Because his height is insane.
Yeah.
So that's what I think. I mean,
but Usman, after seeing what Usman's been doing to everyone is insane. Crazy. Colby, Jorge Masvidal, he almost knocked his head off. Like, it was great.
Usman isn't invincible, but he knows how to fight a smart fight.
But these guys he's already beaten, and if this guy's next, I don't think Usman's going to have a problem.
I'd love to see it. I can't wait to see it because it's going to happen. It's just a matter of time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyways.
Let's move up the card. I'm just going to say this. The Sterling fight should have been the main event, the main event.
I think so too. Yeah.
Because there was so much emotionally tied up in that fight. And especially with the drawing out of that fight, that should have been the last fight. Because honestly, after I watched that fight, I can't even say it right. Alexander Volkanovski fought, and I didn't care.
Really?
I was like, let's get this rolled. Let's wrap this up. That fight should have went on previously. Props to Korean Zombie, but man, he was not on Volkanovski's level.
Right. And I wanted him to win because I love the Korean Zombie.
I was hoping it would be a closer fight, and it wasn't.
It wasn't. I'm not surprised that it went that way because that's happened to him before, where it's like, oh, what happened to him? And it was kind of the same thing. It was actually kind of hard to watch at some point because you're like, oh, just
because all he was doing was just eating blows.
We know
punch, strike after strike.
Yeah, we knew what was going to happen, and it's like, okay, win, but I can't believe it actually went on that long either. So I don't know, but yeah. Anyway, talk about Sterling here.
All right, now let's move on to what everybody has talked about and what I really want to talk about.
So this fight, the comments are back and forth. I feel like the majority are like, that fight was whack. He didn't prove himself. Jan just got held to the ground, which doesn't look good either, but they're just not impressed with the win because it was not a clear indicative win. If anything,
I've seen some comments that are like, Aljamain, the human backpack Sterling.
Yeah, that's a good one. But it's like, okay, yeah, Jan, I wish Jan wouldn't have gotten stuck on the ground like that because you had all that time to figure it out, but Sterling kind of just, I think Sterling went into this knowing he was going to do that because he thought that was the only win, and he's probably practiced that a lot.
But I feel like that's his MO in general. So
yeah, but
are we really surprised?
And then also all the hype didn't help either because everyone was like, oh, this one's going to be crazy. And then even Aljo was like, oh, you don't know what I got for this. Like, he came up with something new, but really he's like, oh, I'll just stay on the ground for all the rounds. And this could have been a very crazy explosive fight, and it just went to waste. I know Jan could have won on the feet for sure, so definitely Sterling did not want to stand on the feet. But just the way he conducts himself, I'm kind of like even more irritated, and I feel more of the way I did before now. He didn't change my mind on anything, unfortunately. He's acting like he just beat the world, and I'm like, man, I would like to see something else.
I was going to say that.
I've do something else.
I don't recall him ever having this much of an ego. It seems like his ego has gone crazy 100-fold, especially with
he didn't deliver what he was selling. Like, yeah, he won the fight, and I don't think he won that fight, to be honest.
But also he thinks he's the greatest fighter ever. He is a champion. Yes. He is a champion. We cannot deny that. But yeah, he makes it sound like he finished the fight, and he didn't.
It was very much in the air. Okay, so yeah, talking about back and forth comments. I mean, the comments that I saw that stuck up for Aljo were just regular people, nobody big that I can remember. But I do see everyone talking shit. Like, of course, all the regular people, regular fans are talking shit. But also, Dana White said that the judges blew that one. I don't know if they blew it, but I think Jan got that one. One of the rounds was controversial. And then Big John McCarthy even said the same thing. He's like,
that's the story I brought up, and it was pertaining to Josh Thompson. Josh Thompson, who has a podcast with John McCarthy, two people that I think are awesome people. I've met them both. They're cool as hell. Yeah. So Aljo and Big John McCarthy have been going back and forth on Twitter. Aljo has been running his mouth basically like, who the hell do you think you are? And you had mentioned to me, like, this is the guy who helped create the rules.
He wrote them. You know how many times he's been in court defending MMA so that it could exist. And he had to go, rule by rule, what the rules were. He literally came up with, what was it? I think he even came up with MMA, like literally the name MMA, mixed martial arts, because it didn't really exist. They had their individual sports, like when it was coming about UFC 1, 2, 3, when the rules were like, well, there are no rules. Well, like, he came up with the rules.
And he's also been a ref for a long time, like even before that.
School. So Aljo was like, who is this guy to say? It's like, dude, all the refs go to his school. Where do you think the refs come from? Like, him and Herb Dean have got their thing going on. They're the ones, two of the best refs you've ever seen. Like, how many? Like, I think maybe Herb Dean has a bad call maybe once, twice out of all of the years. And Big John McCarthy, nobody argues with him ever. And now he's like, I thought it was cool because Big John didn't be like, look, motherfucker. But he was like, look, I'll give you respect, but this is what I think. And
yeah, it's like,
I don't
dude,
know how you argue
I
with
thought
that.
you didn't win that round. Like, that was it, plain and simple. The first
He's
round,
like, you
I
got
thought you
this one
lost.
and this one. You did not get this one. Dana White says he didn't get it either, which, okay.
Which is funny because
on Dana White anyways, but
Aljo is going after Thompson. Not so much Thompson, but mostly McCarthy. And yet it's like, dude, your boss thought the same thing. And
yeah,
what do I hear? You not saying a damn thing to him. So
he is not.
we know where
He
your
can't. Like, that'd be
we know
stupid.
we know why he's not. Let's be real. It's
Well,
the boss.
he did say
You're not going to
something.
comment to the boss. But he
did say
wasn't like
something about the boss. He did. And I forgot exactly
but
what
it wasn't as abrasive as it was towards John McCarthy.
Yeah, the way he put it was like he didn't want to put the belt on my waist, but I made him put it on my waist. But it's like, you did not.
Yeah,
he had to, just like he had to the last time.
I feel like Aljo had like nothing going for him, but then I think he sees how fights are really dominated now by more of a pro wrestling mentality. And since he became the champ, he is just like, I'm the champ. I defended it. I won. And he is just off to the races.
Well, he's making it
now
sound
like he is the top dog.
He's making it sound like, because everyone had questions about that first fight, and he's acting like he answered their questions, and it's not answered. The questions are not answered. That was, oh man. And then knowing him, how much you want to bet he's going to hang on to that belt the longest you can without having to fight to defend it next? Like, I feel like we're not going to see him fight for a very long time. He wants that sweet time to hold it, take pictures, talk more shit. I think he's going to hold on to it like he did the last time when he
for quite some time. He's like, I got an injury. I gotta get surgery.
I should do surgery like now, right? I don't know. Injuries, I can't argue with that, but I still don't respect him as a champ. I wish he won better, because then you wouldn't
more decisive.
Then you wouldn't have a choice.
Just the end.
Right, but there's more questions now. I have more questions than there. Like, I almost got confirmed for what I thought previously. It's like, okay, nothing's changed until I see him fight someone else, maybe make a clear win out of the next guy. And then I think they're gonna meet again. They got to meet again at some point, because Jan.
They have to.
I don't know about next, but I think Aljo would take a fight with somebody else, and that will be interesting. That one has to be interesting. And who knows? He might not even win that one. I don't know.
Now, I just pulled up an article that, I pull up the articles that we go through as we do our show. And this one has Aljamain Sterling says TJ Dillashaw, easiest next fight. And he called him out after the end of the fight. After he won, he called him out.
I wonder why.
I think that's it. I think that's an interesting fight. Then Cejudo is back in. Apparently, he's jumped back into
the testing pool, whatever.
Yeah, so that makes him.
That's interesting, because he already said Dana White's not going to pay him what he wants. So now, what, did something change? I don't think so.
I think he's bored and is like, well, let's see what happens.
Yeah, but also they're talking about Jose Aldo fighting for it, because he said he was next year's merit. And that would be cool. I wouldn't mind watching that. I think
no.
Aldo is looking great, even for how old he is and how long he's been doing this. He looks great right now.
The thing is he's not that old. He's just been fighting for a lot longer than most people. And he's been more successful. He has, yes. Yeah. But he's not that old. That's the thing.
Not that old, but he also dropped down a weight class and looked better, which is weird, because he struggled to make that weight class his whole career. And then now he dropped a weight class and it's no problem. And he looks great. That's crazy,
But I do feel like with the Aljo winning, he has tried to become more flashy. I mean, seeing what he was wearing when he came in and with his lady, and he's like, look at me, I'm bad. Yeah. And then the way he's been acting, calling out practically these Dillashaw, and just
why did he pick
the cockiness and arrogance.
I think that's a strange one. I haven't heard someone call it Dillashaw in a long time, but
well, he does say that it's the easiest of three options for his next title defense. And let's be real, it's easy.
Yeah, I think he would win that fight. I do think he would win against Dillashaw. I don't know. Dillashaw's pretty good too. I don't know. I wouldn't mind watching him fight Dillashaw. I wouldn't mind watching that. I want to see him fight Aldo, but first I want to see him fight Jan, but I don't think that's going to happen next. I don't think he would agree to fighting him again.
I don't think so soon. I think there would be a fight in between.
It would have to be like, this is all we got. You have to fight him again. And that, I guarantee it'll be about 2-3 years before that happens, if he still has
You're right.
belt.
I think you're right about that.
He's going to drag it out as long as possible. I just know it.
I think
judging on how he acted when he got that belt off DQ, oh God, can you imagine what he's going to do now?
Yeah, we'll see another interim champion before we see another title defense.
He might get injured and be like, I'm going to hold on to this. And then we're going to have to do another
What happened?
interim.
I fell off a sidewalk. Ow.
Yeah. From carrying my belt around.
Oh,
Dana White
I love it.
Pretty fired up about that one. He was like, the judges totally blew that one. He's like, there's no way.
You can also tell that there are certain fighters that, Dana White is like, I could promote the hell out of this guy. And then others that you're like, ooh, he won. That was not in the cards. I do not approve.
And people are saying that that's what Dana White's doing now. But I mean, why?
He's done it for a lot of previous fighters too. It's not just now. Trust and believe.
Really? I don't know. I don't remember any that I've noticed before.
He's had certain animosity with certain fighters. And it's certain promoters that have done the same thing. It's on every level. They expect one guy to win because they expect him to be this headliner that'll bring in so much business. And then when another guy that they didn't expect to win shocks them, it's like, all my plans are out the window. Fuck.
I mean, yeah, I don't think he had that big of plans for Jan, though. I really don't. Jan backs himself up. Like, he's going to be there regardless.
That's true. No, Jan's a badass fighter no matter what. So he'll sell fights. But with Sterling being a ground technician, I feel like they're going to have to try harder to promote him rather than Jan, who's like, just go out there and knock dudes out and have a phenomenal highlight reel.
It's great.
Well, it is, of course. That's more exciting than a submission for
I guess
most generic fans.
That makes sense. I wonder if that's what's really going on. I was listening to, I didn't really listen to it. It was just some clips. Brendan Schaub, and I normally agree on what his opinions are about fighters and their fights. He thinks Sterling got this. He thinks he for sure won, and he thinks Dana White is crazy for saying, all the stuff that he said. But his point was, he's like, man, you just fucked it up for Sterling. You're telling people not to like Sterling, which goes into what you were just saying. But
Sterling's doing it himself too, so it doesn't really.
Oh, well,
I get what you're saying. But you also have to realize Brendan Schaub also thinks he has a funny comedy special.
Yeah, the one he came out with, the first one, was great. I heard he's actually funny on smaller stages, every night type of thing. But his special was like, it was too soon.
His special is not funny.
No.
And that's why, I'll talk that smack. I'm not saying I'm some great stand-up comedian, but I know funny and that wasn't funny.
I do think he's funny on a regular basis, like not on a show
he's
or
witty.
anything.
He's witty.
Yeah, he's funny. I love his podcast. They're entertaining. But anyway, he was saying how Dana White is doing a very big disservice to Sterling by not lifting him up, giving him support,
and praising him.
Either that or even giving him some credit, because Dana White's pretty much telling people he's no good. He didn't win this. And that, Sterling might be around for a long time and you're screwing him out of being somebody great. Or,
now, do you think
a fan favorite?
Do you think that also has to do with the whole Matt Serra situation? Because him and Dana White are boys.
Well, but Matt Serra is on Sterling, is in Sterling's coach.
He was a few fights back. A few fights back. Sterling didn't bring him out, and that corner for some reason. And that's because he wasn't like
he said he wasn't invited. He wasn't invited.
So Matt Serra was like, okay, the guy who pretty much gave him his black belt, he was, that does hurt because that's the guy that guided you all the way there. Yeah. And
I mean, Ray
no,
Longo
I completely get it.
too.
But Ray Longo is like, well, that's on you. I got this. You know?
I don't know what that situation was, but I also thought they squashed that beef, whatever it was. If it was beef,
I think they have, but hey, you never know. Like loyalty goes a long. Yeah, you're right. That's it. Point blank.
I don't think,
but
Matt
loyalty
Serra
goes a
has
long
anything to
way
do
there.
with Dana White's opinion.
No, I think
don't think it does.
I think it might just be an overall.
I think so. I don't blame Dana White for saying what he said because I think it's true. I think it is true. And this is the first time I don't agree with Brendan Schaub. I'm like, well, that's a little out there. I don't think
there's the first time for everything.
Yeah. Well, I normally agree with what he says. And because he's smart in that aspect of knowing all the fighters' abilities and stuff like that. And I was like, okay, he's got that wrong in my mind. I feel like everyone else agrees with Dana White and like the way I
agree with Dana White.
Like, I feel like other people agree with that too.
Yeah.
I don't know. Brendan Schaub's all butthurt about something, but I don't agree with it. And I'm wondering how many other people think that Sterling really did win it and that he deserves better. I don't know.
Well,
I haven't seen any.
I want to see what's up next for him. I want to see who they got lined up because we have so many different options and it's like, okay, well, when the time comes, let's see who's next. Let's see who signs on the dotted line and gets that match.
I think a lot of people want to fight him because they're like, oh, I got this.
I think you're right. I think a lot of people see an opportunity, not necessarily for an easy win, but they know like it won't be easy. He's a human backpack.
But they do know his game plan because
that's it. Because that's all he does. He sticks to you like an STD. Come on now.
Jeez. Yeah. It was disappointing also because he's taking all these pictures. He's all jacked and ready to go. He got all jacked up just to stay on the ground. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Just to be like, I wonder if he
plan or if
I wonder if he was whispering sweet nothing in Jan's ears. Like
I've seen so many of those memes. It's funny. It's funny. I've seen so many of those. I think there was one where it was like Brokeback Mountain, but it was the two of them with cowboy hats on.
That's funny. I love it.
Jan didn't have too much to say about that. Nope. He tweeted
He's been
out
very hush.
Well, he's like, quiet. Life goes on, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, I wonder how he feels about that fight. I wonder what he thinks. Like, obviously, he didn't get the win, so you can't really say, oh, I had that. You can't because he held you on the ground for that long.
I think he was probably disappointed in himself.
I think so, too. But he's a striker, you know?
And he'll come back better. If he does it right, he will come back better. Yeah. And I can't wait to see that.
I just want it to speed up a bit because we know that this is going to drag out for as long as Sterling can.
Right about that.
Man. That's not what I wanted to see.
That's what nobody wanted to see. The only person I think that wanted to see it was Sterling, Sterling's wife or his girlfriend, whoever that lady is, Sterling's crew, and his family. That's probably about it.
Yeah. Man, I don't know. It's so funny because on all the MMA analyst pages and stuff on Facebook, I'm only looking at the comments because they're hilarious.
Because that's the fun. I don't care what they have to say. I want to see what people say.
Bro, I was nervous to look at them. I'm like, oh, how many people are supporting Sterling here because it's gonna make me mad? And then I found out that all 99% of the comments are in Jan's favor. He's like, man, yeah, he held him down, but don't get me wrong, that was not impressive. That was not a good win. If you won, because some people are like, no, you didn't win that round. You won this one and this one, which I think is smart, and I agree. But you did, by all means. We don't respect you yet.
Yeah, no, you're right. And I mean, we've had this conversation for a long time about this.
This could have all been avoided if he didn't accept that last belt by DQ. I think this.
Yeah.
I would have respect for him. People would respect him. People would have a lot of respect for him because after that first fight and he took the belt, he's like, man, he was crying. He's like, I don't want to win this way. But then an hour later, he's walking around
and everything flipped.
And I'm like, whoa, what just happened here? You're a piece of shit.
All right. Well, you know what? I'm tired about talking about Sterling. We'll talk about him when he has a fight coming up.
Yeah.
But right now, Bellator. We got Bellator going on. It's McKee versus Pitbull 2.
Interesting.
So pop that up. Yeah. McKee is 18-0. He did beat Pitbull, and I picked Pitbull last time.
Undefeated.
I'll just, still
Well,
undefeated.
I picked him too. Yeah.
I picked McKee. You know, he's the champ. He earned it. I think he'll maintain, but I really want to see, like, I know I say this often, but if Pitbull won, I wouldn't be mad. But I would
like to see him
fight.
get that belt back. I think there's a lot of pressure on him for this one for sure.
Yep. And then we have the light heavyweight world title between Corey Anderson and Vadim Nemkov. And the champ. I'm taking the champ.
I'm going to pick Anderson. I think he's got it.
You want with Anderson? All right.
Yeah.
All right. And then Aaron Pico is fighting on this card, as well as Tim Johnson. Tim Johnson, I'm like, where have I seen you before? Are you a domestic terrorist? No, I'm just kidding. That's a horrible thing to say.
He just has that look, you know?
He does. He's kind of creeping me out. But yeah, the big title fights on this card are the most exciting card on the card, I feel. Yeah. And those are the fights that I'm looking forward to seeing. I was watching some of the prelims earlier, and those were some really good fights. I just unfortunately didn't know much about the fighters. So it was interesting. It was great to see, but I'm like, okay, cool.
It's so hard
won.
to keep up with just UFC. There's so many fighters.
I know. So many fighters.
I don't know, did you watch the undercard for UFC? Because those are pretty good too.
I watched all of it.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I did. Because I'm one of those guys, like, my buddy bought the pay-per-view.
I love it. Yeah.
My buddy bought the pay-per-view, and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to get you your money's worth. I'm going to come over right when the fights start. Even though it's the free ones, we're going to watch those.
Yeah, no, I love, you know what I do Saturdays? Workout, come back, eat, and just right away put on UFC. It's great.
That's it. And then there is a fight tomorrow because, of course, it's UFC. Why not? And we have Belal Muhammad versus Vicente Luque. I take Muhammad.
I think so too. He should get this one. What is the rankings there? I guess they're so small. He's 6.
Luque is 5 and Belal is 6.
Yeah, this is gonna be a good
both
fight.
Fighters coming off wins. I feel like Belal has more to offer, so I think he'll take it.
He's
I'm
gonna pick Belal also. Vicente Luque is pretty good, but I think it'll be a really good fight. I
give props to Vicente because he finishes a fight.
Yeah, he does.
Whereas Belal is like, you know what? I like going the distance.
Yeah, but he's good. So
true, very true. So those are just our main event fight picks, and then we're gonna move on to some other stuff going on. Talking about Cain Velasquez, as always. # free Cain. Yeah, we do support Cain Velasquez, and we hope he gets out soon. Even though the craziness of our legal system will probably not allow that.
Don't think he's going to, unfortunately, which is really sad when you think about it.
You're right. And Cain put out, I don't have that story up, but Cain put out basically a statement just saying, like, you know, thank you for all, basically thanking the fans for all their support. That's really what it is. And everything that's gone on recently as it pertains to his court case. So,
yeah,
I mean, we'll see what happens. I haven't been paying that much attention. Just when it pops up, I pay attention. I'm not sure. I imagine they have a court date set already, or if they don't, they will eventually. But the court system everywhere is so backed up that it might be a while.
California's bad.
It's bad. I know.
And it is so, you know, well, so did they hold him in there without bail?
I believe so.
I'm like,
I think he's still in there.
He could, you know, you plead not guilty. They let you out until your trial unless you're a menace to society. And I guess they decided that he was a danger to society.
I mean, he is a BMF, you know.
And you know what? He would probably go do it again as soon as he gets out. I'm sure he would.
I think you're right.
He's like, I'm going back in there anyway. Right. Let's make it worth it, especially with this guy, which I think he had full intentions on doing that the first time. Which you shouldn't blame him for that. I don't think anyone does. Man, you know what sucks is that, you know, he meant to do that. So there's no going back, and you accept your fate, which is prison for a very, very long time. So it's like, man, he's going to prison. Now he's going to be in prison forever. He's 46. Yeah. It's at least 20 years at least. And I don't think, I don't know all the loopholes of prison and parole or whatever.
You don't? Well, you need to learn. I'm just kidding.
There's a lot. So, and it's shitty on both ends. You're a victim of something, that person gets let off free.
I know.
Try to do something yourself. Oh, well, you're stuck in there and you're like, you're letting the bad guy out here, So,
yeah,
I don't know, but that's a sad case. Oh, that sucks. Ugh.
All right, well, let's try and move on to some better news. You ready?
Is there better news?
Rosenstruck and Volkov is now the headliner for June 4th. So hopefully the third time's the charm, as this article says on MMA Junkie, because this fight's been pulled before, and hopefully, actually, no, it was his fight with Tabura that was pulled.
Yeah.
So he's coming off of a loss. Rosenstruck is coming off a loss to Curtis Blades, and hopefully this fight will follow through. And I look forward to it, because especially against Volkov, I think that'll be a banger.
Oh, I think Rosenstruck would get it. I think he would get it.
Oh, no, I agree. But I think it's going to be a heavy-handed affair.
It'd be a good one. Yeah.
I completely agree. Let's see. And a bunch of other names I don't know on the card. Except for Dan Ige.
Oh, who's he fighting? I'm trying to find that on
Movsar. I can't pronounce it.
JJ Aldrich. I'm trying to. I don't know him either.
I see. Yeah, like.
Oh, Joaquin Buckley's on there.
When the UFC lets people go, I look at the list and I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. Nobody I know about. All right.
Yeah. Joaquin Buckley would be a good one on this card, though. I don't know who he's fighting, but he's good too.
Yeah.
He's an up and comer.
Yeah. Exactly. All right. Now let's go to our final story of the day. And Scott Coker still has plans for Fedor Emelianenko.
I think there's always plans for Fedor.
Of course, but he expects him to fight his final fight this year and the biggest stage possible, but not in Russia. And that's, of course, due to the turmoil that's going on overseas.
Yeah.
And so, and besides, let's be real, like, I love Fedor. I want to see him fight stateside anytime.
Yeah.
So I'm super okay with that. I hope they do find.
Fedor just really, really wanted that Russia fight, of course.
Of course, that's his homeland. I completely understand why he'd want that fight. That's his homeland.
Yeah.
That's his pride. And because of what's going on, I can see Coker's.
I wonder if he's in Russia right now. Because
that's a really good question.
I think, I don't know what's going on internationally, and I don't know if they can come over here or not. I don't know what the deal is right now.
I'm not sure what's going on with that right now. I've just been hearing about the violence going on in Ukraine, not anything pertaining to
right. And what sucks is like
Russia.
They put sanctions on Russia. Like all these countries are putting, and us too are putting sanctions. And I wonder how far does that go, because they're really trying to, from my understanding, we're trying to kill their economy by putting sanctions and stuff. So I wonder.
Do you mean how hard is it hitting the citizens of these places?
Well, it doesn't matter. So if you hit the economy, that hits everyone. But I'm wondering if sports is involved. Like, are they trying to kill everything, like any kind of revenue that they can make? Because if sports is involved, I think that squashed. That sucks. So I hope all the Russian fighters that do MMA and stuff get situated at a point to where they are able to
allowed to leave or something.
Go somewhere else. And then if you get a fight, then you're able to come over, So I don't know.
That's why, I love Fedor, one of my favorite fighters. I hope they find a venue for this, because if this is his final fight,
I think they can find a venue. I just think Fedor wanted the Moscow.
Yeah, no, I agree with you on that. I think he wanted to fight there, but because of what's going on, that is just not remotely plausible at the moment. And if he's going to retire this year, who knows when this stuff will be over there.
Who knows?
So it might be a while. So they'll find another venue. They'll find a huge venue, and it'll be amazing.
Yeah. Well, I hope they figure it out. Hope everyone's happy.
Same. Completely agree. Well, you know what? That's going to do it for us here at the MMA Mainstream Podcast. Thank you for joining us today, and we will see you guys next time.